Beautiful, beautiful. Okay, like I was saying, I was sharing from the experience I had from the first Lagos anniversary retreat I went for in Lagos, and how it actually made me to make a decision to decide not to remain at the bottom, but decide to move. And then as an undergraduate, I qualified for my first all expense paid vacation. I saw this opportunity as a year 2 student. Sorry to say, I didn't have the money. The money wasn't there. It was my school fee I used to get started. But then I moved on from not just, it's one thing to make a decision to be a part of this business. It's another thing to decide you're going to do this business. Okay, many of us have already, all of us have already passed the first stage of deciding to be here. Now it's for us to now decide to do this business. It's for us to now decide to do this business. When I made a decision to do this business, the trip, Egypt and Dubai, Philippine trip came, and I needed it so bad. Of course, I qualified for my first all expense paid trip to the Philippines. And today, many other good news have been added to it. Okay. Just be listening to me. Whenever you see my slide, you continue from there. I qualified for this all expense paid trip. I had two options to either go for this trip or decide to stay for an exam. But I got the two because I actually achieved both. I went for the all expense paid vacation, 2 weeks, enjoyed myself, came back and still had my exams. I wrote it, passed the exam and everything. And then I kept on following the guidance and mentorship. See, if you are in this meeting, you have the opportunity to even attend this millionaire school. You have a mentor, and it is the best form of mentorship you can ever have. So if you have cell meetings and you're still joking with it, it's the high time you start taking all two very seriously. Okay, qualified for this trip, came back. Of course, I became a millionaire circle Nigeria stage, also became a millionaire circle global stage, started making in figures. And then that lockdown was a blessing to me. 2020 lockdown was a blessing to me. Before the lockdown, I was making between 100 to 200K, 100 to 200K. But at the peak of the lockdown was when my business picked up. I decided not to, of course, we in Enugu, we decided not to just sit back and allow, not just in Enugu anyway, the leaders came up with a Zoom application, trainings and all that was going on Zoom. I kept on following it. I kept on taking the guidance, and then it became for me. It was in that same 2020 when others were packing up their business, giving many excuses or whatever they have to say. It was in that 2020 I became a global state millionaire circle earner. It was in that 2020 I made my first 1 million naira in this business. It was in that 2020 I was able to also secure an office space for myself. It was in that 2020 I became a phenomenal leader also. It was in that 2020 so many blessings came because I maximized the time spent. I maximized that time that I was not going to school. And then God bless my mentor so where he opened a group called Book Club. I can't forget that group for any reason. That group was actually what made me to start reading, because you must report what you learned in that group. And the terms is that if you don't report, you'll be removed from the group. So I don't want to be removed from the group. I had to now study. Whether it is convenient or not convenient, I decided to start studying just to be there, just to learn from other people as well. And I kept on being at it until break even for me. Made my first one was recognized as a 2 Club member in that same 2020, and everything became for me. Everything became for me in that 2020. Of course, I did not just become a 2 Club member in 2020. On the 2nd of January 2021, while others are thinking of how they can be able to cope and manage whatever they want for themselves, I was able to launch for myself a Mercedes C300 as an undergraduate. See, this car meant so much to me because I knew how it took my dad to get himself a car. I knew how long it took him to be able to complete the payments of that car. And as an undergraduate, I was able to give myself this car. I was like, it was a whole lot to me that day I celebrated this car. It was emotional moment for me. It was somebody who was squatting from one place to the other, who was insulted while I was squatting, who was sent out of the place while I was squatting. Not that the place was comfortable enough, but I just needed a roof over my head. But upon that, on a wonderful Sunday afternoon, the father of the guy I was squatting with came and told me, I want you to leave the house. For what was my problem? Nothing. I just want my daughter to stay alone. And that was how I was kicked out from the first place. Moved to the next place. I was also kicked out. This same person who could barely afford a good meal, who could barely talk about a roof over her head without receiving too many insults attached to it, until a friend of mine finally accommodated me that could accept all my excesses and all that. And then this same person who could barely pay her school fee, this same person who could barely do so much for herself, was able to still move from that level of that downside of life to having grown a massive business for myself, to having launched a car for myself, to having moved into a 2-comma club member. Not just that, qualify for this all expense paid trip to Egypt. It was in fact, it was a moment I cannot really explain. I can't really say how I am feeling, courtesy of what this business has been able to do for me, has been able to move me from the downside of life into the lifestyle I can actually give to myself. Qualify for another trip to Egypt. Did not just qualify, arrived at Egypt, Cairo, moved from Cairo to Sharm el Sheikh. The place was a beautiful place. I used to have a particular definition of Egypt, but when I got there, it was a different view all entirely. Some of us will always say, the Egyptians you see today, you shall see them no more. Come on, if you go to this place, you want to see these Egyptians over and over again. A beautiful place, went for deep sea diving, went for sky, whatever, parasailing, went for boats. Show all the wonderful things. These are lifestyle I could not actually give to myself. And then eating good meal on top of the Red Sea. You understand that Red Sea, eating good meal. I actually thought Red Sea was red until I went for this trip and I was seeing the Red Sea. It was not red, it was blue. And I was enjoying it with my mentor by my side and some other partners from this amazing team. We went together, enjoying ourselves, went for parasailing. You can see me. See, I'm one person that if you look at me, you say, this girl is very scared. Yes. But when I went for this trip, I say anything that is called fun, I will enjoy it to the fullness. I have struggled too much not to have fun when I need to have it. Okay, went for the parasailing, went for all the beautiful thing, Mount Sinai, and then enjoy the desert safari. You know, I needed to have all the experience myself. I didn't want to ride with somebody. Every of the experience, I want to try it. Okay, just one I missed. I'm going to replace that one. I'm going to cover that one up some other time. Okay, but this is it. This is the lifestyle you can actually live. And this is the lifestyle you can actually give to somebody. Now, I actually felt this because if my mentor had not given me this chance to see this opportunity, if he had not given me the chance to hold me by the hands and guide me, if I had not given myself the chance to listen and obey diligently and follow what I'm being told to, probably by now, I would still be looking for a way to get my certificate and CV and all that and be processing for service, be planning and working on how to go for my service and all that. But all this was made available for me, enjoying all this for myself. Now, it's not just me that I've gotten so well for myself. I've been able to also raise other Millionaire Circle members in my team, not one, not two, not three. In fact, these 4 people are blessings to God. They are not just the blessing God has given to me. God has blessed me with a great, amazing teammate. And I thank my mentor for also accommodating us all through all this. And I was able to get this far. Now I also raised a GE Prime. I'm not just a GE Prime. I've also raised a GE Prime like myself. All this was possible because of the same opportunity you have right in your hands. The question is, what are you doing with this opportunity you have right in your hands? Are you using it to help lives out there that needs to be helped? Or are you just using it to say, okay, now I've secured for myself. Let me just enjoy myself. There are lots of persons out there. If not for what the opportunity I was given to me, I couldn't be standing side by side by these men, these great men that has impacted my life so much. I won't have the opportunity to be on this stage with them. It was a dream come true for me. And the goal is not just to have this dream come true for myself. The goal is to also have other persons enjoy this and see that this opportunity is a blessing. It's a blessing that you don't need to sit on top and just be watching. It's a blessing that you need every single soul out there to experience. In as much as some persons are blind to see it, but you don't need to be among those who are making them so blind to see it clearly. Rather, you are supposed to be among those who should make them see it clearly. How do you become that? By you deciding to emerge, by you deciding to implement, by you deciding to follow what you are being told to. Okay, now